All right, so we're back. We are talking about rights, duties, and responsibilities. Again, this is Mr. Reed, and I've adapted this PowerPoint from the great website icivics.org, who still owns all the copyrights, even though I've adapted it. And we're going to learn about your responsibilities and duties as a U.S. citizen. So, responsibilities. We can define those. They're just something that you should do as a citizen because it's the right thing. Stuff you're supposed to do. Your duties are something you have to do as a citizen for us to still have a great country. So responsibilities, things you should do. Duties, things you really have to do. Now you notice not everyone does these, but we have to. We all have to do them to have a great country. So, here's a couple types of responsibilities. Really, we have duties and responsibilities. Duties, again, things you have to do. Responsibilities are things you should do. If the government calls you, you got to go to jury duty. That means you have to sit there and decide if someone's guilty or innocent. As a citizen, that's how our justice system works. You also have to pay taxes. Nobody likes doing it, but we all have to do it because that's the way our government's funded and run. That is your duty as a citizen. If you don't like it, you get to invoke one of your rights to free speech and freedom of expression and petition and go complain about it. We have to obey the laws. That's one way our society doesn't fall apart. And if you are a man over the age of 18, you have to register for the Selective Service. So if we ever have another draft, which we last had during the Vietnam War, the government can call you into service. You also have the duty to get an education. This one applies to all of you, obviously. And the reason you have that duty is because without an education, you're not going to be able to be a good citizen and you're not going to help our country grow. Alright, your responsibilities. You are responsible for staying informed. That means knowing what's going on. If you don't know what's going on, you can't exercise your right to expression or to vote in a positive way. You also have the responsibility of tolerating others. You might not have to like everyone in this world, but being respectful and tolerating them is important. We also have to protect public safety. That means, let's just use my firework example from the last video. Yes, you may now have the right in Maine to shoot off a firework, but that doesn't mean maybe you should shoot it right over your neighbor's house. You have a responsibility to make sure their house doesn't burn down. You have to, use your common sense and be safe. You also have the responsibility to register to vote. You can't vote if you're not registered. Here in Maine, thankfully, you can register to vote right on election day. You just have to, prove that you are a citizen. Usually, sometimes you bring a piece of mail. Sometimes you just have to say, yes, I lawfully swear that I am a citizen and this is where I live. Registering to vote allows you to go vote and partake in the democratic process. You also have the responsibility to speak your mind and participate in government. These two kind of go hand in hand. If you just keep to yourself the whole time when government's trying to make a decision, we're never going to change anything and you're never going to have an impact on our government. You could also have the responsibility to participate. That means going to meetings, writing letters to the editor, even running for office. These are all important because that's how our government runs. If nobody were to run for office, nobody would be in charge. Alright, so as a student, do you have responsibilities? Absolutely. It just might be a little different than what an adult has. And again, at this point, we're calling an adult someone who's turned 18. Because in the United States here, when you turn 18, you're legally considered an adult. Alright, so, before you're 18, your list of responsibilities doesn't necessarily include voting because you can't vote. However, it probably includes respecting authority. That means, not being disrespectful, not being rude. Again, when we talk about tolerating others, that means we're treating people with respect. Do they overlap, our rights and our duties and our responsibilities? Absolutely they do. Is voting a right? Is it a responsibility? Yeah, it's both. You have the right to vote and you have the responsibility to vote. They're both important. Ta-da! Do they ever come in conflict? Ooh, so we had overlap, but they're the same thing. Conflict means you have a right for something, but then you have a responsibility to do something different. Let's see. Of course you do. So if you yelled fire in a crowded movie theater, just think about that for a minute. Now jot down what right is involved and what responsibility might be involved. Take a second, write it down. If you need to pause the video, go right ahead. I'm moving on though. In a crowded movie theater, which is more important, your right to yell or the responsibility not to? Just kind of ponder that. It's the responsibility. Even though you have the right to free speech, you have the responsibility to protect public safety. It would be not safe to yell fire in a crowded movie theater where there was no fire. Alright, so we're going to recap here. Thumbs up, thumbs down. As we go through each slide, you're going to circle yes if a statement is true or no if a statement is false. Rights are things you are allowed to do because of science or because you want to. Sorry, remember, rights are things that are guaranteed you because of nature or because of law. Alright, next one. The Constitution lays out rights for citizens of the United States in the Bill of Rights. Again, circle yes for true, no for false. Yes, it does. The Bill of Rights is our first document that gives us rights, and we kind of amend it and add laws after that to add to it. Alright, next one. Students and adults have the same rights. This one probably matters a lot to you, and it's really important to know the answer. You do not have the same rights as an adult. Sorry, but remember, when you come to school, there are certain things we have to protect, particularly safety and the right everyone has to an education. So you don't get the same rights as an adult. Alright, well, we have many rights. That also means we have many responsibilities. Is this true or false? Of course it's true. You have rights, you have responsibilities, you have duties. Last one. Rights, duties, and responsibilities sometimes are going to overlap and sometimes have conflict. Again, is that true or is it false? We all know that that's true. So, I hope you've learned something. Go ahead, go back and finish any questions you didn't get to answer, and move on to the next activity. Thank you very much.